Hey guys, Super Dave here. I'm just going to do a little question and answer and just talk about concerns and issues and thoughts about student rentals and rental properties in general. So here we go.
One thing I think about that kind of worries me, that isn't super relevant to me right now, is how do you keep track of everything? There's so many moving pieces. There's so many things you got to think about, and there's so many different rent checks coming in and payments you got to make, and you got to worry about this bill and that thing. How do you manage all that and keep it all together all the time?
Okay. As far as how do you keep it all together, because it's such a complicated system to a newbie, but I try to keep things as simple as possible. I look at as money coming in, which is rent. And I try to keep that as basic as possible. I have leases on 53 houses, and that amount of money has to come in every month. And that's just basic collections. And then as far as bills and the accounting, it's a lot easier than you think. It's more just when a bill comes in, you pay it. It's not like a lot of dates are sneaking up on you and you need a spreadsheet or an Excel sheet to keep up with all this. It's more all your mortgages are due on the first. All your rent comes in on the first, and through the month you may get a maintenance bill. You may get a well company went out and put a new pump in on the well, and you just pay that bill. And as far as running a business, I see it as a very simple, basic process. It's money coming in, money going out. And the thing I've learned recently is I'm starting to leave an extra $20,000 in my account. And what I do is on the first, I just sit down and pay everything. Okay. And in the old days, when I was just getting started, I would wait for money to come in. I'd get enough to make a certain mortgage payment, and made things a lot more complicated. Now that I'm bigger and stronger, I have that chunk of money sitting in there. And on the first, I just sit down and I write all my mortgages. I just crunch it out and I pay every single bill that's sitting on my desk, and it's all done. Then I sit back in my chair and I start collecting, and I refill the coffer. And it's almost getting one step ahead of the system, because sitting there and waiting for $500 to come in to get enough money to make the next mortgage payment is stressful. And it's like stealing from Peter to pay Paul, it feels like, and you're getting tugged back and forth. But if you can get that chunk of money in there, if you do a refi cash out, or if you flip a house, you got extra money, discipline yourself, park it in your main checking account where you're paying all your bills, and just sit there comfortably on the first and pay all your bills. When I was down at the beach, I had enough money in my account that I made all my November payments. And I haven't even got back to my house to collect my rent or to get it into my accounts. But I knew I have created this buffer. And that's been the best thing I've learned later in my career, is to pad yourself, treat yourself, and go ahead and have the money sitting there, and you're not stressing and collecting, but still be as strict on that money like it's your last dollar, and be firm with everybody. They have to pay on time. They will get hit with penalties. They could go to court. All the tools in your bag to make sure rent is paid on time. You stay sharp on that, and you stay aggressive to get your money, and don't act like, I got it, and I'll just collect from them whenever they decide to pay. You keep that sharp edge and wanting your money on time, just like you're desperate for it to make your next payment, but you got that pad right there. But to answer your question, I think running rentals and a rental business, even if you get up to 50 houses in commercial buildings like I have, it's not that complicated. You collect rent and you pay your mortgages and your taxes and your insurance and everything that you owe. And you're smart enough in the beginning to know, I bought this house with built-in cash flow, even with rental repairs and some surprises along the way. So as you're bringing money in and money's going out, that you're going to cash flow.
Do you have your accounts on auto draft, like your mortgages and stuff? Do they come out automatically, or do you manually pay those too?
Well, to answer that question, I probably should. I think a lot of people now are making sure that it's on auto pay. Between the 1st and the 5th, the mortgage payment's automatically paid. I like more control. I like to know that I'm going to make that payment when I want to make that payment. I've never been a draft guy where money's drafted out of my account. But I do get my money drafted in when I collect rent. It goes directly into my checking account through a new website, and that's been a great new move. I'm not shuffling checks anymore, and it comes in. But as far as making automatic drafts going out, if you're comfortable with that and you're comfortable with the timeline of when they take the money out, I think it can be a great system. But I still like to lick an envelope and put a stamp on it and throw a check in it and go to the post office and drop all my mortgage payments in on the day I want to. It's like, maybe it's a control thing and it's kind of like tangible, but it's kind of like how I've always operated. And I'm slowly starting to transition. On the rental side, I get it drafted, and eventually on the payment side, I'll start drafting it out. But it's, for me, at 54 years old, it's kind of a process.
Is there a particular dollar amount that you save on a monthly basis or a yearly basis to put towards capital expenditures on your houses? Or is that something, how do you budget for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. How much to put to the side for repairs and capital improvements. Typically, I try to overdo that. I have lines of credit of, over $150,000, just to give you an example. And I know that money is earmarked for a furnace or a roof, or if anything big comes across my desk, I'm ready for it. And I try to, in general, just be smart in my life. Try to save as much as possible. Try to live within my means, and always have large deposits in my savings accounts, and just in general, just be strong. And you have to know the condition of your houses. You don't want to be surprised. You want to know that this furnace is only 5 years old, and this thing should last for 30 years, and so you shouldn't have to be up at night worrying about the furnace on that particular house. So you should know the age of your roofs and your furnaces and your big mechanical items, so nothing's going to surprise you. And getting ahead of things and going out there and looking for problems is one of the best things I've done. To go out there and have a furnace guy go ahead and service everything and replace nozzles and filters, and really do some good, proactive actions, and go look. Don't just wake up one day and 3 furnaces went out. You should know the age of your furnaces. Have you been maintaining them? And when should they die? So there's no surprises out there. And those visual inspections and being aware of your surroundings has helped me a lot. Instead of just sitting back and reacting and waiting to put out the next fire, I'm out there observing and walking inside and looking, so I don't get hit too much in 1 month with something. And if you have a good month and you see a roof starting to fade with the shingles, and you start to see a little tar paper blowing off the house, and it's coming, and you've got the money, just go ahead and put a metal roof on it. Just go ahead and get it done. When you get a reward from a flip of a house, or if you get cash back from somewhere unexpected, and you can afford it, go out there and look for a way to spend it. How can I put this into my houses? Recently, I saw a door on the back of the house that's starting to rot in the base. And I said, I'm going to replace that door. Well, come to find out, the whole foundation of that door was rotted, and my deck was about to fall off the house. And I went out and did a visual inspection. I saw rotten wood where it shouldn't be, and I created action. I sent my guy out there, and I said, take this apart put me a new door in and make sure everything's okay. Well, it wasn't. It was really bad. I had a ton of rotten wood in there, and I could have had kids fall off the deck, but I took the time at turnover time to walk through every single house I own, and I looked for problems, stains and rotten wood and leaning post or whatever is weird about a house, and I spent the money and I fixed it instead of just sitting back and ignoring everything and getting surprised. And on another house, I had old metal windows and the siding was all rotten, so I just ripped the whole siding off the side of the house. I put 4 brand new windows in the living room, repainted that whole side of the house, and I eliminated a problem instead of letting a problem get worse. So I guess the general rule is be proactive, look for problems, and when I'm writing a check on a rental house or on my personal house, I'm writing money in the right direction. I've always told myself that. If I'm spending money on a roof or a furnace or fixing something at my personal home, I'm putting money into a savings account. I'm just saving that money because I'm improving the value of the property. The equity position is growing because I've improved my property, and it's almost like going to the bank and sticking it in a savings account. That's the way I look at it. You're just you're spending the money in the right place if you're improving a cash flow machine or your personal house. I'm getting ready to do a huge improvement to my house, 2-car garage, bonus room, and all that. And my wife's like, that's going to be expensive, that's going to be a lot of money to do that. And I was like, but our house is going to increase by that value or more. And if the day comes that we sell it, I get that money right back, plus appreciation, so it's almost like putting it in the stock market. And I get to enjoy a garage and a bonus room along the way. So I never hesitate to spend money on a rental or a house. That's where you should be throwing your money. You got to spend it on cars and watches and vacations. You got to treat yourself. But when I sit down and write a big check for something at a rental house, I never feel bad. I just feel like I'm improving my property. I'm going to get more rent for it. I'm getting more equity out of the house when it gets appraised. And I've spent money in the right direction. So that's my philosophy.
What's one thing that you wish you knew before you got started in student rentals that you know now?
So something I wish I knew that I know now in buying student rentals, looking back on my career of buying these properties and owning 53 houses, commercial buildings, and apartment building, I wish I had the ability to start earlier in my life. I started around 28 to 30. I wish in my early 20s I'd been saving more and making offers when I thought I couldn't make offers. I thought I was too young, too inexperienced, so I wish I'd started a lot earlier. That was a big lesson. And I wish I had done a lot more. There's so many things that slip through my fingers. I'm renovating a restaurant and I see 5 houses come on the market, and I tell myself mentally, you can't do both. Well, looking back on it, I could, and I guess the lesson is I wish I was more aggressive. I was highly aggressive, and I built a huge portfolio, and I'm proud of it. But I can look back now and drive through my town and say, I could have bought that. I should have bought that and flipped it. That I could have bought for $100,000. I just saw it sell for $400,000. And I drive through my town and I get that feeling in my gut, like, why did I let that slip by? I was in that house. I was getting ready to buy it, and I said, no, I'm too leveraged. And there's a fine line there. You need to keep a good equity position to a mortgage position. You need to have savings and lines of credit, so you just can't go for broke and just go all out all the time. But my conservative nature held me back more than I think I should have. I should have gone after more, done more, and I could probably have close to 75 houses right now. I really feel that. But I think about it and I say, it's easy to say now, but when you're younger and you're learning, but that's a lesson from an older guy to say, when you get that feeling, push yourself, work harder, do more, buy more, and really push yourself beyond where you think you are as a young 20-something. And the third thing is, don't be intimidated intimidated by older people and that people have more than you. Just learn from them. If you're in a room with somebody who's got a bunch of rentals, don't be intimidated by that person. Learn from that person. And I guess another thing is I wish I had had a mentor, somebody to guide me. I just kind of charged in and trial and error and just, bought and sold and just tried to figure it out on my own, and I wish I had gone to somebody with more experience who had sat me down and taught me some of the ups and downs of the business and some of the tricks of the trade. I was a trial and error, just young kid, just jumped in there. And I mentor people, and I love when somebody reaches out to me, and it's what gets me excited now is to teach something to somebody who's younger and say, look, you can do this. This is very possible. Buying real estate and cash flowing and quitting your job is a lot easier than you think. And you just need somebody to tell you that and to say, don't be afraid of it. And the hardest thing for me is so many people want it. They have a desire for it, but they don't do it. The doing and the action is 99.99% of it. It's just doing something. So many people dream and want, and I wish I had some rentals. I wish I could quit my job. But they sit back in their chair, they go back to work, they get a paycheck on Friday, they take their weekends off, and they're stuck in their 9-to-5 job for the rest of their lives. And if they would just step out of that box and take a little bit of risk and be more creative and try to find a way out of that, it's a lot easier than you think. I couldn't believe how quick I was living in my house out of my home office. It was almost like dreamy. It happened so fast. But it wasn't easy. I created action. I went out there and worked, and I wrote offers, and I walked lots, and I met with builders, and I said, I'm going to build this 5-bedroom modular, and if you don't create action and you sit at your desk, you're just going to sit at your desk, and you're not going to build a portfolio. Hey guys, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Remember, subscribe to my channel. Give me the thumbs up if you like what you hear. And remember, do the most productive thing every moment of every day. Thank you.